Hey, hey, hey! Joshua Shafran here with another episode. Actually, it's the first episode, episode number 1 of Motivation Sucks. And today, what I want to do is just kind of share with you a little bit about the format of this new show, how often, etc., etc., etc. And this show today is actually the exception to the rule, shall we say. So let me just share a little bit about the format of the show so that you can understand what to expect. This will be, there's going to be 3 different formats within the same show. To start with, we're going to do 3 episodes a week that are kind of like a workshop-based episode with whiteboards either behind me or on the iPad or combination thereof. And we're going to be digging into some really cool subjects and that kind of build on each other. And we're going to take one big subject for the week and break it into 3 bite-sized chunks with specific actionable things that you can do to see the results that you want to see in your life and to get some breakthroughs that you're looking for. Then and those are going to be primarily on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And the time right now is still a little wonky, but it's probably going to be at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to join us live, that would be awesome. And we can create it. But the rebroadcast will be available throughout the on the YouTube channels as well as on Facebook for the foreseeable future, at least for now. Now, the first format is the workshop-based, insight-based, action-oriented, practice-specific things. Why, what, how, and then how to, kind of adapt it for your own particular use case scenarios in your life. So that would be Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and that's the first format. The second format is going to be more of an interview series with other experts on particular topics that we can drill down on, and that's going to likely be taking place on Tuesdays. Then on Thursdays, which is the remaining one, is going to be like a free-for-all coaching platform where if you all need specific insights and advice and about your specific scenarios, where we'll get down to some business on the particular subjects at hand that we're going on. So and like I said, this week we're gonna just kind of start off slow, and I'm gonna give you like 3 episodes this week of insights that I plan on sharing with you in different subject matter, and then depending on where people go and what specific questions that you may have or insights that you might want to share, feedback, etc., then we'll drill down on that. And then and I do have some specific topics that I want to cover in leading up to next week, which is going to be really cool. Now, next week, the subject for next week is going to be the 360-degree breakthrough. Like if you want to have a 360-degree breakthrough solution in your life, meaning not just in business, for example, not just in income, but personally, spiritually, professionally, and otherwise. And that's what I mean by full 360. And so leading up to those necessary ingredients, so to speak, Max Alicious, what's going on? I just saw you checking in there. Good to see you. So in addition to the that we're going to be drilling deep on next week, in terms of there's 3 specific barriers that you need to overcome, and in other words, there's going to be 3 specific breakthroughs that need to happen to take you through a progressive pattern of sequential barriers that will allow you to have the 360-degree success solution. So we're going to go in depth on that next week, and each of the 3 episodes next week will cover one barrier, one breakthrough, and then specifics on how you can apply that in your life, and how you can take measurements, how you know whether you're on track and off track, etc., so that you can give it a little go and a little practice in your life. And then the next barrier and breakthrough, and the third barrier and breakthrough. So we'll be going deep on that. What I want to do this week, though, is just kind of just cover some foundational stuff and just give some breakdown and some insights and that are necessary in order to understand what we're talking about, in order to have a clear breakdown of what's going to transpire both next week and then for the foreseeable future, and how it's all going to look, and what you can expect. So the first thing that I want to share with you, I think, is okay. So a provocative name for the show and for the website is Motivation Sucks. Now, why am I doing that particular name? Why is that the approach that I'm taking for this? Well, because I think we spend too much time looking for ways to get motivated. And, if I could only find more motivation, drive harder, drive faster, make stuff happen, give more, be more. And we never take time to really utilize that. If you're going in that direction, what is the outcome? What are you trying to accomplish? And, does motivation get you there? And so what I want to break down for people is that motivation simply means motives for the action that we take. Now let's just look at that for just 1 second. Motives for the actions that we want to take. So when you think about a motive for why you want to behave in a certain way, what is that? Well, that is saying that it's something outside of me, outside of you, that it's a motive that's dictating why I want to behave, take a specific action, opposed to a internally generated or an inspiration-based action that comes from within and allows you to move forward from a centered place in yourself. And so how did this become important in my life? Well, let me just break it down like this. Since as far back as I can remember, probably as young as maybe 4 or 5 years old, my vision was freedom. My driving value, if you will, was freedom. And somehow in my mind, the way that freedom got equated was that I have to become a millionaire. And so I am motivated to become a millionaire because in my mind, millionaire equals freedom. So literally at the age of 5, selling candy on the streets in New York, I was going after it and trying to figure out how to make that vision for make the vision for freedom come true by pursuing millionaire. And so I was motivated, man. That's what I wanted to do. And so I did everything, tried everything, and eventually, as I discovered TV and infomercials and the small little classified ads, I discovered books and I discovered programs on how to get rich. And so I was motivated to read all those things, to go to those workshops, to do those things. And I became a business opportunity junkie, always looking for the next thing to complete me, the next thing that was going to fix me, the next thing that was going to, the epiphany, right? Now, let me buy this next program or this next book or whatever, this next technique, and I'll put it under my pillow, and magically by Friday, I will have the freedom that I want. And so eventually I realized that I was lacking discipline and motivation. So, because it was going to take some, hard work and really making some stuff happen. So by the time I reached, I guess it was 29 going on 30, That's when I made that conclusion that all the stuff, that all the business opportunity things that I was trying that wasn't working, I had to just kind of put my nose down to the grindstone and grind it out and make some stuff happen and create the success that I wanted to see happen. So I did. And my first real breakthrough success happened. And I became a millionaire about, I'd say, I think it was 18 months after I made the decision to be focused in that fashion. So great, and it felt great. It was awesome for about a minute, right? Until the novelty of it wore off, and I realized that it didn't fix the emptiness. It didn't give me that true freedom that I was really after becoming a millionaire. So, push comes to shove, I do a bunch of other things, trying to find my way in the world, trying to figure out how to find meaningful fulfillment from what I was doing, have sustained success, that I knew I was making a difference, that I knew I was making an impact in the world. And that my life was, I realized that my life was supposed to be more than my life had become. I knew that I was destined to share great things, and it wasn't just about the money. Anyway, for the next 10 years, I made and lost millions multiple times. And it got to be pretty wearing on me, to the point where in 2009, I shut down all of my operations. And by the way, at the height of my success financially, in terms of status, in terms of the respect factors and all of that, the authority, the leadership, all of those things that people came to me for. And it was going great, except I was miserable. And I wasn't finding the meaningful success that I wanted. And that's when I really started to look at the difference between motivated action and inspired action. And we're going to talk about that next week, because I believe that motivation actually is a barrier, and that's really the whole basis of this program. However, what I want to just make clear here is what we're talking about basically is the tale of two paths. And I believe that what we've been walking is we've been walking the path of motivation, or what I call the collector path. The other path is the creator path, the expansive path, the path of abundance, the path of inspiration, that basis. And so the two different branches, over here on this side, we've got the collector path. And what I mean by collector is that we collect information, we collect ideas. And what does any good collector do? Well, we collect them and we kind of hold them to ourselves, and we want to put it up on a shelf. We want to protect it so that it goes up in value. And if we give it to somebody else, then we lose. Whereas the inspired based path, the creator path, knows that it's got to be shared. It's got to be expanded upon. So like these ideas, I've got to share these ideas rather than keeping them to myself, because the more people that I can share this with, and that we can expand the ideas together, and if they can adopt it and adapt it to their own particular circumstances, then it makes the concept stronger for them and for me. So we all benefit. And in that case, we have that abundant mentality where we're always expanding. And I think that the problem is that we don't realize that we're walking that collector path that is driven by motivation. We just go about our daily routines here. And as you can see, Fred, the flat-headed flea, is right on that side there of the picture. And that's the kind of the mascot, if you will, for Motivation Sucks, because he's my reminder that when I'm walking that collector's path, when I'm stuck in motivation only, because that's what happens. It's the Fred, the flat-headed flea, syndrome. And that's how I know. And so we're going to talk somewhat about those things. And then that's going to become a guidepost for us to be able to see in our lives. So behind me, I'm going to change the screenshot here for a minute so that you can kind of see it. You know, anybody that knows me knows that the Carl Jung quote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will control your life, and you will call it fate." And so that's basically when we're walking the collector's path of motivation-oriented action. When we're staying in that realm, what ends up happening is that we're not making the unconscious conscious. And so our fate is in fate's hands. Our destiny is other people's hands. It's outside of ourselves. And everything else is controlling us. We're like puppets on a string, only we're not pulling our own string. Somebody else is making us dance like a puppet. Dance, little puppet, dance. And we feel like we don't have any control over those things. So the first step in the journey is to start to notice your unconsciousness. And that sounds like it's hard work, because if something's unconscious, it's invisible to us, right? Until you learn some tools on how to examine, how to be the objective observer. And that's really what this Motivation Sucks show is all about. It's about giving you the tools so that you can consciously make those decisions to walk the creator path, walk that path of abundance, walk that path of making an impact, making the difference that you want to make in life, and becoming financially free if that's one of your goals at the same time. Because, having success, having material success, financial independence, and being happy, and making a difference, and making a valuable impact and contribution in the world, the two are not mutually exclusive, although we've been taught that they are, right? So the great question, Max. I see Max is paying attention. How do you become an objective observer? Awesome. And the chart behind me actually is some of those techniques there. And you see the objective future, and on the other side, you'll see the objective situation. And we have the subjective situation, which is primarily where we live, and the object or the subjective future. What we believe is the true situation, what we believe is the possible future for us. And really, as you're going to discover, that the situation isn't quite what you think it is. But the good news is, on the other side here, the future is so much bigger than what you even know. And so to answer your question more specifically, Max, that's exactly what the entire Motivation Sucks podcast series is all about. That's why I'm doing this. So we're going to dive deep on it. This week is basically just some foundational things to interact, start getting some understanding, start giving some background and overview of how the format of things are going to go, and then we're going to drive deep on it. And next week and for the foreseeable future, there's 4 basic things that we're going to focus in on for each one of the subjects of the week. And so when we get into these types of workshop settings where we're going deep on a learning adventure to expand our awareness on the topics of becoming that objective observer, being able to make the unconscious conscious, to be able to consciously realize. And the word realize is really important here, because the word realize means, the root of it means to know again. And when you know something, it's not something that you have any doubt over, because the knowledge is absolute certainty, right? There's no uncertainty in the knowledge whatsoever. And the root of recognize means to know again. And so we've got to realize that we already know this stuff. We just have trained ourselves, we've conditioned ourselves to become unconscious to it. And so that's why this is some, in the beginning, it's going to be a little rough or difficult, if you will, in that it's work, right? But as we start to go in different directions and we start to apply it in different ways, that's when we're going to start to drill deeper on this, and you'll be able to see with clarity where you're choosing from and know that you have the ability to shift from the collector's path, walking that collector's path of motivation, motivated action only, to walking that creator's path of being a builder, of abundance, of expansion, of inspired action that's making a meaningful difference, so that you have both wealth, material success, and happiness, fulfillment. Because if you ask a lot of people, well, I may not be rich, but at least I'm what? And most people can fill in that blank because we've been programmed, at least I'm happy. And what that means is that in our mind, we've got a trade-off going on. We're trading off, like, we can't be happy and wealthy. We can't be making an impact, making a difference, making a phenomenal contribution, and be outrageously wealthy, successful, abundant, prosperous, all of that stuff. Like, it can't be both. And in fact, it can. The either or is that Fred story running us that we're not aware of. And so that's what we're going to start to go deeper on. I think that's enough for today. Only to say that I would appreciate it if you go over to motivationsucks.com and opt in, so that I can keep you notified and get you the regular updates on the topics ahead of time, the both the weekly bigger topics as well as the individual sessions coming up, and keep you in the know, so to speak, on the particular topics. Also, that's where I'm going to be giving an overview of some of this foundational stuff that we're talking about now, so that people can, at their leisure, go through that. Also, the new YouTube channel that I just started is called Motivation Sucks. And you can find it if you go to speakuphere.com. Speakuphere.com. That will take you directly to the channel. And if you want to subscribe and turn on the alerts, then you'll also receive alerts when we go live, in addition to wherever else the show is being syndicated that you might happen to be watching it. Like, for example, if you want to attend live, Max is watching, I can see on Facebook right now. But we're also simulcasting this to multiple syndicated channels. So, but eventually everything is going to be living at the Motivation Sucks YouTube channel primarily. And most of the interactive and the community building is going to take place right there inside of that community. Right now, it's nothing. There's no new subscribers there. It's a brand new channel that I just started. And the different episodes that we're doing, which hopefully will start tallying up rather quickly, will all be available there as well. Now, if you go over to motivationsucks.com and you get onto the newsletter list, you'll also be invited for the opportunity to be able to receive the audio downloads, the podcast version just on audio of these sessions. So if you want to take it to go and listen to it on the road or at your leisure when you can fill in, obviously the advantage of attending live here is going to be the conversational aspects of it. It's going to be the interactivity of it, the ability to engage with us and have direct conversations about this, as well as having visuals, because I'm going to be using a lot of my whiteboard stuff, but I've got a cool app on my iPad that we can beam in, where we can really go in depth and I can draw it out better, and you can see like the lights on. I haven't quite figured out how to stop the reflection yet on the lights on the whiteboard there, But the good news is that it's actually going to be easier for me to use the iPad whiteboard and for us to really drill down. However, some people are more auditory in nature, or you want to maybe perhaps have the auditory nature. Anyway, go to motivationsucks.com and check it all out, and that's where it'll all be. And unless there's any questions, I'm going to wrap up today's session. So I'll give it a second. And while I'm waiting to see, because there's about a 30-second time difference, I'll take a little drink of water. All right. Well, since there's no new questions coming in, that's really cool. And we're going to wrap up today's episode. And I'll be back with you tomorrow. And then remember, next week, we're going to be covering the 360-degree breakthrough. How to, that brilliance of the and. We're going to be talking about how to have the material success, the material wealth, and satisfaction, fulfillment. Thanks, Max. I appreciate you signing up over at Motivation Sucks. Awesome. And so we're going to have all of those opportunities there. And that's where we're going to have the ability for the and, right? The and, where you can have the success that you want and the meaningful fulfillment, the success and happiness, so that you can have the and that's what the 360-degree breakthrough is all about. And there are 3 individual breakthroughs in between. Now, just one bit of preview, I guess, for next week as well. And in general, start thinking about the word breakthrough, because we throw that word around a lot. Breakthrough is a breakthrough. Oh, I had a breakthrough. I had this, breakthrough. And in reality, what we're saying is not that we had a breakthrough. What we're saying is that we had a little bit of clarity, a little bit of understanding that bridged the gap a little bit, that some of our stuff that we did or learning or understanding now has a, closer to that, bringing us more certainty and eliminating some of that uncertainty in our lives. But a breakthrough oftentimes is really uncomfortable. Why? Because a breakthrough usually can't happen unless there's a breakdown that precedes it. And so what I mean is that you're coming up against yourself, and then you finally have the breakthrough, and the whole paradigm shifts when you have the breakthrough. The epiphany, everything completely shifts. Now, leading up to it, it usually sucks. And it usually hurts a whole bunch. And so we tend to run from those breakdowns instead of saying, oh, wow, it means that a breakthrough is coming. There's something close at hand on the other side. So just want to kind of set the paving the road, so to speak, for what's to come with that next week, and with the breakthroughs. And the 360-degree breakthrough happens by going through the 3 individual breakthroughs that are breaking through 3 individual barriers, kind of in a hierarchy standpoint. So lots of great things. And then, you're going to say, well, okay, how do I put that into action? Oh, and that's the one thing that I now need to close this loop. There's going to be a primary focus on why do you want to do these things? Point number 1, why? What's so important about it to you? Why should you give a shit? Why do you care? Why is it important in your life about all of these things? I'm going to do my best to give you some insights about the why. And I hope that people will converse with me on it so that we can start to really flesh that out. Then it's the what. We got that covered, the techniques, the methodologies. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it as thin sliced as I can possibly do on the what, so that we have a specific what. Why? Because the third thing is the how, right? I want to be able to give you a specific how to put this into action, how to practice this in your life, whatever that is, so that you can see some results in your life. And I call this the living it. How do you go from just learning something or learning about something, gathering up that information, gathering up that, being a collector of information, walking that collector's path on the learning, on the next technique, and how do you bridge the gap into becoming able to live it? How do you be able to apply it in your life? And that's the whole goal. And I believe that if we do it in bite-sized chunks, each time having something that you can take a specific action on and a specific measurement, so that you know whether you're on course or off course, or how to know what the milestones are that you're looking forward to as you start to approach them. And then there's all sorts of different ways that you can start to apply it. Once you see something successfully and you go through those first three, then you can start to be adaptive in nature and start to apply it not only into other situations in your life, but get better at seeing, oh, there's some parallels here. Oh, I can do this. Oh, I can move this over here, and so on. So that is all of what is the framework that we're going to be going with. And thank you very much to Wayne. He is a brother from another mother that shared with me his LMS system, and it's those 4 systems, or the 4 on the wheel there, and it's really a great focusing tool. And so that's what all of the shows, all of the week's episodes are going to take that format, as well as the individual bite-sized chunks of the show. So that's my goal. And are we going to be there right off the bat? Well, probably not, because I'm still fine-tuning it, but that is what I'm shooting for. That's my vision. So the better that we can help get there, I would appreciate any insights that everybody has to help us get there. And really where the joy is going to be in terms of the adaptive qualities of this and the community-based stuff is when you join Motivation Sucks newsletter list, and we can keep you engaged in the community. There's going to be different options for you to go down as I start to build it out. Now, I'm not waiting to have all of it perfect now. We're getting started with what we got, and I'm going to iterate my way there with your help. And so you get to be a part of helping shape it. But big parts of that are going to be the interactivity, the experiential portions of the journey, where you can start to put it to work in your life. And all of this stuff has bearings in all of the 3 major areas of our life. We have, we want professional success, and, whether that's, entrepreneurial or professional in a vocation in a job, or whether that's, as a freelancer, whatever that might be. We want professional success, financial success on some level, whatever you define that to be. We want personal success, right? We want to feel like we're expanding, like we're having the fulfillment that's necessary, that we're making a difference, that we're making an impact in the world. And of course, we want spiritual success, spiritual fulfillment. Now, I don't know what you define spiritual as, but for me, that's the inner game stuff. That's the yin side of the equation. The yang side is the behavior, the action journey, the things. And so the both the personal and the professional, a lot of that takes place in the action journey, in the outside world, in the yang side of the equation. But the yin side of the equation is us sharing that with the inspiration is the spiritual side, because the word inspiration is in spirit. So spiritually, whatever that means to you, what I'm talking about is that we're part of some bigger energy, that there's some higher calling. And if you have the knowledge, the feeling like you're meant for something bigger, that that you're supposed to be doing some bigger things in the world, that you have some gifts, you might not know what they are, but that you're meant for more. That's what I mean by inspiration. There's something there calling you forward. Now, if you don't believe that that's you, then you're not even watching this right now because we're not resonating, we're not syncing up, and that's cool. Because that's not who I'm building this for. But whatever your definition of that is, it is. And so those are the three areas that we can be walking a fine line to. And oftentimes we focus so much on the actions. Tell me what I got to do. Tell me what behaviors I've got to exhibit to shift so that I can get the results in the world that I want to see. But it has to happen internally first, because you can force yourself through motivation alone, and you're going to see why I made and lost millions so many times over that next 10-year period for such a long period of time, because my seesaw was going back and forth. Why? Because I didn't realize that it was snapping back. It was snapping back, and that sooner or later it started to weigh down on me that I couldn't keep it up there anymore. And we're going to go a lot about that in depth. And really, we're going to go deep on this stuff. So this is what it's all about. And I'm really excited for this next chapter. And I'm really excited to conduct interview type format shows, as well as kind of like hot seats. If anybody wants to come on either on audio and or video, I'm more than happy to create a space for that as well. Because we have 5 shows a week, and I have plans for 3 of the 5 to have those in a serial type episodes. So with that said, really now I'm going to sign off. So I appreciate y'all for being with me, and I'm looking forward to tweaking this and make it better and better and better.